Nobody in the 3D industry shares real numbers. Ask 10 3D freelancers what they charge, and you get 10 versions of "it depends," which is true and also completely useless when you're sitting in front of a quote at 11 p.m. wondering if your number is embarrassing or right. So today I'm putting actual numbers on the table, day rates and hourly rates for 3D freelancers across the US, Europe, the UK, and beyond, pulled from platform data, job market data, industry surveys, and my experience. Fair warning, there's one piece of math in there that is going to annoy you. It annoyed me when I finally understood it, years too late. And it explains why so many talented artists are broke. Quick word on where I stand. I started out charging roughly 30 euros an hour. Today my studio charges multiples of that for the same kind of work. So I've personally lived at both ends of the range I'm about to show you. Keep that in mind for later because it's the whole point of this video. Let's start at the bottom because that's where most freelancers accidentally live. On the big freelance platforms, the typical 3D artist charges somewhere between $25 and $40 an hour. The median sits around 30. Call it 250 a day, roughly. Now, before anyone in the comments gets defensive, that's not a judgment of these artists. Some genuinely excellent people are in that band. It's a judgment of the position. On a platform, you're a search result next to 200 other search results, sorted partly by price. The platform's whole business model pushes you towards the bottom of the range. So treat platform rates as what they are, the floor of the market, not the actual market. And this is exactly why I tell every freelancer I work with, don't sell your services on Upwork or platforms like it. The rates there are structurally too low, and every month you spend competing in that race teaches you the wrong lesson about what your work is actually worth. Before we get into the numbers, one piece of math, because most bad rates start here. A lot of freelancers set their price by looking at what an employed 3D artist earns per hour and adding a little on top. This sounds reasonable, but it's completely wrong, and here's why. An employee's hour comes with things attached: paid vacation, sick days, insurance the employer covers, a workstation someone else bought, and most importantly, a full calendar because someone else's job is to keep their week filled. Your freelance hour has to carry all of that alone, plus the thing nobody teaches you. You don't bill every hour. On a good year, you bill maybe 70 or 80% of your time. The rest goes to finding clients, sending quotes, doing revisions you didn't scope, and staring at an empty inbox. So the rule of thumb is your freelance rate needs to be roughly double the employed hourly wage before you're even standing on the same ground. If a staff 3D artist in your country effectively earns 25 an hour and you're freelancing for 30, you didn't give yourself a raise. You took a pay cut with extra paperwork. That gap between your charged rate and your effective rate is the silent killer in this business. An artist charging 40 an hour and billing half their time is living on 20. The craft was never the problem here. Keep that doubling rule in your head while we go through the regions. It's the lens that makes the numbers make sense. Okay, now the actual map. Rough ranges, and I'll tell you afterwards why the spread matters more than any single number. The United States, working remote with direct clients rather than through platforms. The middle of the market sits around $55 to $90 an hour, with the median around 70. That's roughly $450 to $700 a day. Top markets and top specialists go way past 100 an hour. Germany, where I'm based and where I can give you numbers from direct experience rather than just surveys. A good 3D freelancer charges between 500 and 700 euros a day. The platform averages sit lower, of course, around 60 euros an hour. And that gap mostly shows you how many people here are underpricing, not what the market actually pays. The UK. Creative freelance data puts the average rate in film and motion around £390, and the top 10% of contracts around 750 a day. General 3D artist listings scatter widely below and around that, which mostly tells you the title 3D artist covers everything from junior modeling gigs to senior production work. Eastern Europe, closer to Germany than most Western clients would assume. A good 3D freelancer there sits around 300 to 400 euros a day. Lower, yes, but nowhere near the discount some clients still expect. The days of hiring senior talent in those regions for a third of the price are largely over. India, Southeast Asia, and parts of Latin America. Commonly somewhere between $15 and $40 an hour, with strong senior people in major hubs charging well above that. One survey puts the Bangalore median at $39 an hour, which surprised a lot of people who still think these markets are cheap. The ones who sell internationally adapt to international prices. One honest caveat about all of this data: it's messy. One salary data set I looked at while researching this video ranked Florida 61st out of 50 US states, which tells you exactly how much trust to give any single number. But the ranges are directionally right and match my experience from 17 years in this industry. Now step back and look at what we just covered. Same software, same skills, broadly at least, and the range goes from $15 to over $100 an hour, from $250 a day to $750 and beyond. That's not a skill gap. Nobody is 7 times better at Blender than another competent professional. The spread comes from everything around the craft: who you sell to, how you're positioned, whether the client found you as a search result or as a recommendation, whether you sound like a pair of hands or like someone who has seen their exact problem 30 times before. Which, if you've watched the first 2 videos in this series, should sound familiar. The artists sitting in the upper bands of every of these regions are overwhelmingly the positioned ones, the ones a specific industry knows by name. Geography just sets a baseline. Positioning decides where you land relative to it. A well-positioned artist can work from anywhere and charge real money. When a client pays you $15 an hour because you're in India, that wasn't an accident of geography. They went looking for an artist in India specifically to save money. You were the search result for the word cheap. Position correctly, do the outreach into your niche the way we covered in the last 2 videos, and your address stops being a big part of the equation. The furniture brand that knows your name doesn't care where your desk is. They care that you've solved their exact problem 30 times. So use these numbers as an anchor and not a verdict. If you're in Germany quoting 45 an hour with 5 years of experience, the market data just told you something. You're not being humble. You're being wrong about your own market. Now, before you take your new number and just run, one warning. Because I'd be lying if I ended this video pretending the day rate is the goal. The day rate has a design flaw. It punishes you for getting faster. You spend years building skills, buying better hardware, building a library of assets. A project that took you 8 days now takes you 3. And if you charge by the day, your reward for all that progress is a 60% pay cut on the same deliverable. Clients don't pay you for the day. They pay you for what your day produces. So here's how I'd actually use everything in this video. Take the regional number as your floor and your sanity check. Never quote below your band again. For real projects, price the outcome with day rate running quietly in the background as your internal minimum, not as the number on the proposal. Try to look at it this way. This day rate is just your seatbelt. It's not the destination. Your homework is one number. Based on your region, your experience, and where you want to be, decide your floor today. Write it down somewhere. You'll see it when the next inquiry comes in, because that 11 p.m. quote is exactly the moment when people fold. And once you control your rates, something new becomes urgent: protecting them. Payment terms, revision limits, what happens when a client disappears mid-project. That's the next video. The terms of service every 3D freelancer needs, including the clauses I learned the expensive way. Subscribe so you catch it. And if you want to compare your rates with people in your region who will give you a straight answer, that conversation is happening in my community. Link in the description. See you in the next one.